The War of 1812 didn't just happen. Events are pushing the United States toward war. But what are those events? Let's look at them. First, let's begin with the situation in Europe. We've talked about this a great deal as we studied the Jefferson administration. But let's quickly walk through the situation and make certain we know what's happening. Just how is the United States finding itself sucked into the Napoleonic Wars in Europe? And why is the United States at odds with the British?
The year 1789 is important for two events: the adoption of the Constitution of the United States in America, and the beginning of the French Revolution in France. The French Revolution led to the execution of King Louis XVI and Marie Antoinette. The execution of the French monarchs caused war between France and the rest of the European kingdoms. Washington kept out of matters related to the French Revolution as much as possible. By the time Adams was president, the French were seizing American merchant ships on the grounds they were aiding the enemy, the British. Adams used the small American navy to fight an undeclared naval war with France. It was coming to an end as Adams left office. In 1800, Thomas Jefferson became president. Jefferson had a soft spot for France. He tried to end all conflicts with France, but it was difficult. In 1803, French General Napoleon Bonaparte crowned himself the Emperor of the French. Napoleon had defeated almost all the nations of Europe. The one he could not attack and defeat was Britain. Britain's Royal Navy ruled the seas. It fought Napoleon by imposing a blockade on all French ports. No goods could get in or go out of France. This posed a problem for Napoleon. Napoleon had a navy, but he knew the first time it fought the British Navy, it would be destroyed. It was better to keep the Navy's ships in harbor as a potential danger than send them to sea to be destroyed. This strategy was called a fleet in being. Napoleon issued an edict. It forbids countries from trading with Britain. Napoleon hired privateers, government-employed pirates, to attack and seize any ship that was carrying goods to Britain. The British government responds. It issues its orders in council. It prohibits any country from crossing the British blockade and providing goods to France. Any ship bound for France is a blockade runner. It will be seized along with its cargo. Jefferson decides the only way to stay out of the conflict between Britain and France is to keep all American ships in harbor. His Embargo Act of 1807 stops international trade and seals American ships in their harbors. The Embargo Act is ruinous to the New England economy. Jefferson cares nothing for their problems. He only wants to avoid any possibility that could lead to a war. His successor, James Madison, allows Congress to end the Embargo Act. Instead, he tries to insist that America is neutral. It supports neither side, but it does have a right to have ships on the seas trading. Americans are not to trade with either Britain or France, only with other countries. However, both France and Britain continue seizing ships and cargoes. Madison is coming under increasing pressure to protect American merchant ships and the nation's honor. He is being pushed toward the new naval war. But with whom? Britain has seized over 1,000 American ships and cargoes. Often American sailors have been put to work as sailors in the Royal Navy. The French have seized some just over 500 American ships and cargoes. These are huge losses. They cannot continue without running the American shipping industry into ruin and making the United States an international joke. American ships might as well be flying flags saying, "Come and rob me! Just steal this ship and cargo!" Madison remains uncertain how well the United States will fare in a war with either Britain or France. It is clear to Madison if war comes, it will most likely be with Britain because of British impressment of sailors. But Madison does not see it as a war that will go well for the United States. He resists going to war because of his fears about how the war will play out.